started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Millennium Fellowship virtual celebration. My name is Jenny Simon. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the program manager over at the Office of Global Learning Initiatives at FIU. And I am super excited to have you here tonight. We have planned a really exciting program for the night, so I hope that you will enjoy it. I'm gonna go through some housekeeping items first, as usual. So just so you know, for all of our programs that we do online, you do not have to have your camera on. But since this is a celebration of your accomplishments, if you feel comfortable, we would love to see your faces and have you on for the time that we're gonna be speaking tonight. I also want to take a minute to provide some background on the fellowship. This year we have 18 students who completed successfully the Millennium Fellowship at FIU. I want to share that this is the second year that we have students accepted into the program. And for those of you who are not 100% familiar with the program, because I actually have some guests here tonight that have joined to learn about how to bring the program to their campuses. So I can tell you that the Millennium Fellowship is hosted by the Millennium Campus Network in partnership with the United Nations Academic Impact. And that is a fellowship that selects undergraduate students from around the world. This last year we had, I think, 15,000 applicants. And the students participate in a leadership development program throughout the fall semester. And at the same point in time, they implement projects that address the Sustainable Development Goals. So really exciting program. Our students love it. And actually we have alumni coming back tonight to share a little bit of what they learned and what they're doing now as well. So thank you to all the fellows that are joining tonight. Thank you to their families and friends who are here tonight. And I'm also going to take one more minute to thank my colleagues at the Office of Global Learning Initiatives. So Florencia Dominguez, who's here supporting me with the technology, and Sherry Beeson, who supports our fellows as well. Thank you for being here with me. And also, I want to thank all our members of FIU community that decided to say yes to participating tonight. And if I miss someone, I'm sorry. I've been trying to keep track of everyone who joined, but I know I have Amanda from the Center for Leadership and Service. I have Imani from Startup FIU. I saw Dina Espinosa, and I saw Luli from Honors College. I also saw Pamela from the FIU Foundation. We have also some guests tonight who are not from our FIU community, but support FIU as well. So Scott from the University of Michigan is here. And I also have Mary from the Department of Cultural Affairs, the Miami-Dade Department of Cultural Affairs, and Noha, who actually is, I couldn't support the students at FIU without Noha's support of all the million questions that I ask her. So Noha actually runs the Millennium Fellowship at the Millennium Campus Network. So thank you, Noha, for being here tonight as well. If I miss someone, I'm sorry. As the night goes on, I'll make sure to give you a shout out, because I really appreciate that you're here to support our fellows tonight. And with that, I'm going to get started with the agenda to give you an idea of what we have planned for the rest of the night. We're going to have welcoming remarks by Gira Rausch Montoto, followed by a poetry reading by one of our Millennium Fellows this year, Sabrina Pecorelli. Then we have two other guest speakers tonight, Jane Zimmerman and Joan Godoy, who are going to be sharing experiences and sharing their thoughts on the intersections of global citizenship with the local work that happens in our communities. Then we're going to have a few minutes to share the spotlight on our alumni, because they're excited to come back and tell you what they did. And the moment of the night is going to be the opportunity for our fellows to share 1 or 2 minutes of what their projects were about and what are they proud of. And then we're going to have a fun exercise at the end to close the night. So that's what's happening. I think I'm just going to go ahead and also invite you in the meantime, as the program evolves throughout the night, to share your thoughts and share your comments in the chat, introduce yourselves. Part of this is also the opportunity for the fellows to network with the guests. So please make sure to drop a line in the chat. So I'm gonna get started then with the first speaker who's gonna provide the welcome remarks. Her name is Birgitta Rausch Montoto. Gita serves as the Director of Global Strategy and Faculty Success. Her primary focus is on developing international and intercultural bridges between internal and external partners, implementing operational policies and procedures, and aligning the university's strategic global efforts with institutional priorities. In her role as the Fulbright Program Campus Liaison, she has supported dozens of faculty with successful award applications, and she has been chairing the university-wide Textbook Affordability Task Force, which implements initiatives to ensure college affordability. Gita joined FIU in 2004 as executive assistant to the fourth president, Dr. Modesto Maydic. In 2006, she was appointed Chief of Staff in the Office of the Provost, leading the office staff, coordinating the Provost's standing deans and chairs advisory councils, and operation committee meetings, and also managing the Board of Trustees Academic Policy and Student Affairs Committee agendas, as well as senior level appointment searches. Between 2009 and 2015, she assumed the role of chair of the Commencement Committee and successfully conducted over 80 grand graduation ceremonies. She is a commencement expert. And FIU is Gita's two-time alma mater. She earned a Bachelor of Administration with a focus on international business and a Master of Science in International and Intercultural Education. Before permanently moving to the United States, she was a banker by training in her native Germany. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Gita. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for that lovely introduction. I am thrilled to be here tonight with all of you. I know some of the fellows personally. Congratulations from the bottom of my heart. You're true global champions. You go way beyond global citizenship. You are champions. And so I'm honored to be here with you, the 18 Millennium Fellows of the class of 2020. And of course, your guests, possibly families and friends, to welcome everybody to the celebration. I'm thrilled to be in your good company. I wish it was in person, but virtual works too. And I do want to thank Jenny, so Jenny's lady, Simone Mengana, our Global Learning Program Manager, and the entire team of the Office of Global Learning Initiatives for your tireless efforts in facilitating the Millennium Fellowship Program at FIU and for your support of the fellows. So thank you. We're much indebted to you. So Jenny, you've taken part of my job. You wanted me to introduce the program, but I will briefly summarize it again so that everybody has a fresh memory of the program, the Millennium Fellowship, which is run by the Millennium Campus Network. And it allows undergraduate leaders, you, around the world to receive training and gain connections and earn credentials as you work to advance the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs. So imagine this, with 15,000 applicants on more than 1,000 campuses across the globe. This is a highly competitive program, but only 80 campuses around the world host the program. And we're really, really excited that FIU is doing so for the second time this year. Now, frankly, FIU is only successful in being awarded the Millennium Fellows Campus designation because of the inspiring work of students like you. With your creativity, your projects address a wide range of sustainability concerns, including health, inequalities and social injustice, food insecurity, and quite pressingly, the very real consequences many suffer from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The projects take different shapes, from stages and exhibits to virtual events and fundraisers, to websites, blogs, and apps that empower, inform, and connect communities. Project venues include our own campus and local communities, but go as far as Honduras, Ghana, Nepal, and Liberia. I am looking forward to hearing more from all the fellows about a little bit more details about your projects. In my mind, you are the future leaders who will negotiate a sensible solution for a country's exit from a multi-nation union, or let's call it Brexit, who will talk sense into government leaders who must make critical decisions on how to distribute a virus vaccination so that not only the first world will benefit from it, right? A huge problem we're seeing right ahead of us right now. And of course, you will find creative solutions towards greater sustainability and meeting SDG goals for an equal and just world. Your work is actually an important piece of the FIU Global Puzzle, my favorite background, that I get to work with every day. So what's part of that FIU Global Puzzle? One example is the recently finalized brand new global strategy for FIU, where we, a group of FIU leaders from around the campus, discussed what is meaningful global engagement for our university, international education. And that was quite a very exciting opportunity to think through how we actually do that. I get to talk to many of our 200 plus partner institutions across the globe on a regular basis. Again, very exciting because every partnership and relationship is different and has different opportunities. I'm also working on our Fulbright program on campus, meaning I'm a liaison. I facilitate Fulbright for our folks, our faculty and students who want to go abroad on a Fulbright grant, and I help welcome Fulbright visitors to our campus. And quite frankly, you, the Millennium Fellows, are the perfect group to consider applying for a Fulbright grant. If you want to go abroad to enhance your scholarship, your studies, your teaching, your research, whatever it may be, you should consider a Fulbright award. And so if you do, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, FIU Fulbright Liaisons on campus, so that we can help you successfully compete for those very competitive, but also very prestigious awards. We also regularly work, another puzzle piece for FIU Global is outbound mobility programs such as education abroad or internships, and of course, welcoming our international visitors. We work closely with the Office of Global Learning Initiatives to internationalize our curriculum and co-curriculum. And I also often work on the risks that are associated with working globally. Something that's a very pressing issue is the influence of foreign governments, for example. But also for our traveling folks, when people go abroad, what are the risks associated with that? So as you see, it's very multifaceted and never boring, I can assure you that. Earlier today, I received a holiday greeting from Alan Goodman, the president of the International Institute of Education, IIE, which is an organization that supports international educators at universities in many ways. In his good wishes to us, he highlighted 3 words that really resonated with me. resilient, grateful, and hopeful. Let me apply these words to you and your important work. What makes you and us resilient is your tenacity in pursuing new ideas and seeing them through with much creativity and willpower. You have proven this already by successfully completing this program. I am grateful for your inspiring work, for your drive to serve your local and global community, to improve the conditions in which we and much more so the disadvantaged live in. And hopeful I am that your curiosity and your courage to lead new efforts into the unknown, the acceptance of possible failure, and your fearlessness to keep trying will bring about real change for the better. So always bear these in mind. Be resilient. We're grateful, and I'm sure you're grateful, and there is definitely much to be hopeful for. It is now time for you to hear from one of your peers, Sabrina Pecorelli, a true romantic. A true romantic? I know not exactly what you would have expected from her. Perhaps it is because her hometown is Florence, Italy. It certainly isn't due to her being an international relations major. I do think those are more realistic than romantic. Or a student pursuing a certificate in Middle Eastern studies. Her recent internship at the US Department of State in the Bureau of Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs probably also didn't turn her into a romantic. Sabrina will share with us her poem, I Consider Myself a Romantic. Truth be told, I never considered myself a romantic, but her poem has taught me otherwise. And I have to admit, when I first read Sabrina's poem a few years ago, I actually asked her if I could share this on occasion with groups like you, because I really thought it was tremendously inspiring and, really giving a lot of food for thought. But today I am really glad that I am not reading her words, rather that she is reading her words. I have never heard her read this poem herself, so I am really glad to be here today and hear her. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome a very romantic and a true global citizen, Sabrina Pecorelli.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am so excited to be reading my poem at this amazing celebration, and I'm so excited to be celebrating all of our amazing work that we've done this entire semester. So here goes. I hope you guys like it. The poem is called I Consider Myself a Romantic. I consider myself a romantic, and not just with boys and love and flowers, but with the world and the way I see it. Growing up, I saw a world so beautiful and kind, so worthy of respect, and so full of possibilities. I wanted to give it back the love it gave me. I considered myself a romantic. I grew up in the furthest corners of the world, from the streets of Florence to the shores of Tudufushi and to the dunes of Cairo, from the concrete jungle of Milan all the way to the tropical jungle of Zanzibar. I grew up a citizen of the world, as I left a piece of my heart in every place that I belonged. I consider myself a romantic. I dream of fairness and protection, of love for everyone, regardless of biological, philosophical, or economical differences. I dream of prosperity and opportunity, of liberty and autonomy, but most of all, I dream of equality. And not just for me and my first world sisters, but also for the girls in the countries that don't look out for them. For the girls who've been through it all, the girls who have fought for their lives and now need someone to fight for their rights. I consider myself a romantic. I want equality for the child brides, or the ones who were sex trafficked, for the ones forced into slavery, or the ones that were raped. I want justice for the ones who gave their lives too early, so it will not have been in vain. I want them to know that someone is fighting. I consider myself a romantic. I want less conflict in this world. I want more peace. I want to read the news and smile, not feel my heart break softly beneath my ribcage. I want to watch TV and be proud of the country I live in and the countries that surround me, instead of aching at the atrocities that take place. I want to know I'm helping, that I'm using my voice, my life, and my privilege for the greater good. I consider myself a romantic. I want the world to be a better place for us, our families, our children, and for everyone who inhabits it. I want less hate, less prejudice, less war. I want more love and support and cooperation and interdependence. I consider myself a romantic because I believe I can help this world. I believe I can help someone, that I can do some good. I might not move mountains and I might not stop rivers, but if I can change even just one person's life, that's more than enough for me. So yes, I do consider myself a romantic, and not just with boys and love and flowers, but with the possibility of a global peace that only exists in my romanticized dreams. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much.
It's very beautiful.
Wow. Might or might not have, you know, something in my eye after this reading. Thank you so much. This is, I echo Gita's words that I had read the poem before, but watching you perform it, it's a really unique and special experience. Thank you. Before I move to the next item on our agenda tonight, I wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to some of our guests and supporters of the fellows that just joined. So thank you, Dr. Ortega, for being here. Thank you to Moira from the TRIO programs at FIU. Thank you to Margaret from the Miami-Dade Department of Cultural Affairs. Thank you to Patty from the director from the CLS, Center for Leadership and Service. And also thank you so much to our executive director, Dr. Hilary Landorf, who joined us tonight as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and supporting our fellows. So I was waiting for giving people a little bit of time to join. So now what we have learned, one of the lessons of 2020 is that if you want to take a group picture for posterity, you do it early in the evening when all the cameras are on and people are smiling, and so we can have that to share later with our students. So Florencia, let's move everybody to gallery view, and before we go into the next speaker, we're just gonna do a group picture. So this is a time for everybody who feels comfortable doing so to turn your cameras on. Thank you, everyone. Florencia, you tell us, and this might be several pictures, so you'll have to smile for a little bit so we can get all the groups on camera.
Yes, and we have 2 pages.
Okay, perfect. So you let us know, Flor.
Okay, so we're going with the first one, okay? First page. You guys ready? Set. Perfect.
Okay.
I'll take one more of this page if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
1 second. There you go, just making sure. There you go.
We go to the next page now. So I don't know if you know what page you're on, so you have to smile the entire time, sorry.
Right, exactly. These are tests. Okay, I'm going to the second page, guys. Stay with me. There we go.
Thank you, everybody. That was great. And I promise I will share the pictures and the recording with you later this week. So now I have the pleasure of introducing our next guest speaker, someone who is very dear to my heart. Jane Zimmerman is here with us tonight. Jane is the John and Ruth McGee Director of the Dean Rusk International Studies Program at Davidson College since July 2019. She brings the world to Davidson through international events, speakers, and courses, and Davidson to the world through student and faculty travel grants, internships, and experiential learning. Previously, Ms. Zimmerman was the Executive Director and CEO of the American Research Center in Egypt. She was also the Executive Director for the International Policy and External Affairs at the American Red Cross. And prior to that, she was a senior US diplomat for over 25 years with the US Department of State. As Deputy Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor, she spearheaded the human rights agenda for Latin America, Central and South Asia, including Afghanistan and Pakistan, and promoted international religious freedom worldwide. Her overseas assignments in the Foreign Service included Cyprus, Israel, and the Gaza Strip, Tunisia, Brazil, and Mali. From 1994 to 2000, Ms. Zimmerman had several domestic and overseas assignments in the Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs focused on Middle East peace. Her foreign languages include French, Portuguese, and Arabic. She's the recipient of the Secretary's Career Achievement Award, 4 Superior Honor Awards, 2 Meritorious Honor Awards, and an award for excellence in community service. She has a Master's of Arts in Law and Diplomacy from Tufts University's Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, and a Bachelor's of Arts from Macalester College. She is also a trustee of the Albright Institute for Archaeological Research, and she is married and has a college-age son. She and her purebred foothound are a volunteer therapy dog team. Jane, it's a pleasure seeing you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Yenny. And as you all may tell from my introduction and my background, I'm very old. That's the only way I could have accumulated all that experience. I've been around for a long time. And what was so exciting was reading about the Millennium Fellowship Program and the work that you all have done. It makes me feel really inspired. You have made this old lady feel very hopeful and very optimistic about the future. And why is that? Well, partly I was around when the Millennium Development Goals were first created. And a lot of people were very skeptical. Looking at the post-World War II international development phases, there had been the excitement of the Marshall Plan, which had been very successful in Europe. And then all these ways to try to replicate the Marshall Plan through infrastructure and large projects. But then also there was a recognition that those things didn't always necessarily trickle down to addressing the real needs of people who needed healthcare, education, and who really had local community needs that were not met, thinking of the very big macro scale. So then the development community moved towards basic human needs. Then when countries became heavily indebted, there was a whole issue of structural adjustment and governments trying to live within their budgets. So after having been through all these phases, there was a certain fatigue and cynicism when the Millennium Development Goals were created. But they really did, and they succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams in the end. They really did focus the international community's desire to make an impact, to have a different kind of theory of change, that investing in just one sector or concentrating resources to just one way or one approach or one philosophy were not going to meet the growing needs of growing populations. It wasn't, certainly as time would tell, address the needs of an environment that was literally breaking under the strain of modern life and modern living. We look back now, and the Millennium Development Goals were hugely successful. They lifted millions and millions of people out of poverty. And now, over this past year, due to the pandemic and the economic devastation that it's wrought as businesses have had to shutter, people can't travel, and our lives have suddenly shrunk to the size of our screens, it often seems. So many of the gains from the Millennium Development Goals have been wiped out. But it was the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, and their success that gave rise to the Sustainable Development Goals. And it's pretty daunting to see that all the hard work that has gone in over these past decades, through first the MDGs and now the SDGs, to see so much of it erased within just 1 year due to this pandemic can be very disheartening. But thankfully, that's when you begin to look to the Millennium Fellows here and the work that you all have done and the way you approach global citizenship. I was so excited when Jenny, who worked with me at the Red Cross, shared with me the different kinds of projects that you all have done. You've been addressing issues of hunger, literacy, trying to close the divide in terms of gender inequality, addressing mental health issues, food, sustainability, trying to figure out how communities can be more resilient in an urban environment, even if that means growing your own food in an urban environment. I look across the span of what all you have accomplished just in these past months, and it renews my faith and my hope and my courage. Now, after having been a 35-year career and still running strong, I actually feel more of an optimist and idealist than I did when I was younger. There was something sometimes that was, occasionally when you were younger, it seems a little fashionable to be a little cynical, to be a little weary of the world when you haven't even really had a chance to see yet much of the world. But optimism is an incredibly strong force. And what's amazing is the optimism I've seen among people who have really often had to suffer trauma or displacement. But there's a certain type of emotional resilience that I think comes from strong communities, a sense that you belong within your own community and you belong in a world that welcomes you. And certainly what you all have accomplished in just this short amount of time through your projects and your initiatives really demonstrates that. You're tying people in your own community in ways that make them feel that they are cared about, that they are connected to one another, and that they're not isolated and alone. Collaboration is really the key. Often we kind of perceive a world where it's all about competition and dog eat dog. But really we are stronger when we collaborate and work together and recognize that if one person manages to get a leg up, that means they can reach back and help the next person get a leg up. That's really the key to, I think, having a career that will sustain you over decades like mine has and still make you feel optimistic about the world and its future. I can point to so many things that are different now from when I was your age. For example, there was no recognition of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer communities. You couldn't hold a security clearance in the State Department or the US government if you were LGBTQ. That changed, and your generation made it change. There's so much more opportunity in terms of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, where we really can bring our principles of global citizenship to not just heal this world, but transform it and make it live up to its vast potential. I'm going to also close with some of the words of someone who really mentored and brought me along in my career. And I really believe in the concept of paying it forward. But Ambassador Ron Schlicker, who sadly passed away about a year ago, he always said that the best people have a cold eye and a warm heart. That is, to have a cold analytical eye. Don't shy away from the facts. Don't be afraid to face the hard truths. But have a warm heart. Empathize with people whom you can serve. Be kind to one another, especially as you head off into institutions and organizations. Remember, you're not doing much to help the world if you're not helping one another within your own organization, within your own institution. It begins at home, including within your own family. So carry that warm heart and have a cold analytical eye and keep striving, because what you have accomplished these past months, I am in awe. And so you have my gratitude and my admiration and my respect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much for your words. And I really appreciate when I reached out to you and told you a little bit of what I wanted to for you to provide tonight. I think I really appreciate the context about the Millennium Development Goals as well, because some of our students, they weren't around. I think they were really young when we were working on those. So I appreciate your words and I appreciate you tonight. And now I am super excited to introduce our next speaker. While Jane gave us an overview of the global citizenship and the connections around the world component of the fellowship, my next speaker is gonna talk to us about bringing it home and the connection between global citizenship and local change. Her name is Joanne Godoy, and she is a resourceful connector by nature. She's the current executive director at Radical Partners, a social impact accelerator based in Miami that invests in leaders, engages locals, grows ventures, and designs innovative solutions to collectively make communities stronger. Some of the initiatives they spearhead are Vote Miami, the Strategic Planning Summit, and the 10 Days of Connection. Joan is a clinical psychologist with a master's degree in international NGOs and 10 years of international work experience in the social impact sector in Guatemala, the Netherlands, Costa Rica, Chile, and the United States, all the way from a small nonprofit to UN Women. She sits on the board of the Women's Fund in Miami. She is one of the co-founders of the Fuck Up Nights movement in Miami and is an active alumni of the Global Shapers community. It is my pleasure to introduce and have you tonight here. Joanne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yenny. It's funny how sometimes you use the 10 years of experience and 35 years of experience when Jane was sharing to kind of highlight what you've done. But all of a sudden, when you're working with young people, you're like, oh, that was a long time ago that I was at school and still seeing the work with such thirst and passion. So just like my former colleagues and friends shared before, it is an honor to be here to celebrate you all. And I want to emphasize that you're all women, right? Like nowadays, it seems like it's such a normal thing. But if you think about like a few decades ago, being a female student was very rare. And you had to be very brave and very bold to be in the classroom. And here we are a few decades later with a group of 18 women. And I see that not all of you are here, but this is basically for you, Melanie, Rakia, Prachi, Camila, Patricia, Maria, Sabrina, who I think hopped off after her poem, Sadie, and Brianna, and whomever is gonna watch this recording later. I wanna congratulate you for being bold as well, and for being brave as well, because you might as well be studying and doing sports and all of the other things that we all love. And especially in a year like this that was so rough for many of us, you chose to do this and you worked hard to be here. And you're working hard not only to achieve professional success and for you to challenge yourselves and do more, but do all of that for others. And I do want to recognize that and just pause for a second for you all to recognize that despite all of that, and on top of all of the other things that you're doing, you are choosing to become a social impact leader and doing it in a very thoughtful and impactful way. So congratulations once again. So on that note, trying to ground us a little bit, as Jenny was saying, I think one of the privileges that you all have by being at FIU and studying and being part of the center is that you have access to this array, I would say, of global networks, of global initiatives that are telling us where we should go, where we want to be in 2030, which is great. But then I also invite you to, as you use that as a guiding light and as you use that as a guiding principle in terms of where we want to be, to not forget to keep your feet on the ground and recognize where we are and how we're doing in a city like Miami. So to get us started and get us grounded in terms of the SDGs, many people in the United States and in Miami in general do not know what the SDGs are. And we're 10 years ahead of when we originally started working, or 5 years when we started working on them, or even more if we talk about the Millennium Development Goals, as Jane was saying. And we're 10 years ahead from where we want to be and the goals that we want to reach in 2030. So all that said, there's a lot of work to be done. Good news, a lot of people are doing great work. In any of the 17 goals, I could mention names, and I know many of you are focused on the first ones, right? So some of the people that I can mention when it comes to zero hunger, for example, we saw the Feeding South Florida organization doing the food drives and on the street, despite COVID being out there, to make sure that everybody in this town has something to eat. When it comes to good health and well-being, we're seeing Health Foundation leading the way in terms of what health looks like. And it brings us back to talking about mental health and depression and anxiety, things that 20 years ago were still taboo. When we talk about gender equality, we see the Women's Fund working with their impact collaboratives. We see Code Art working with girls so that they can all code and learn how to do it nowadays. And I could go on and on and on. But then for goal 17, and this is kind of me being selfish and reminding you of the importance of collaboration and partnerships for the goals, which is something that we try to take very seriously at Radical Partners. So when Jenny was sharing all of the things that we do is because we recognize there are already leaders like yourselves who are doing great work, who are doing the thinking, who are investing the resources and the time. And what we want to do is to support you all so that you can scale that impact, not only individually, but most importantly, collaboratively. Which brings me back to the importance of that word. And for those of you who do not know me well yet, you will learn that at Radical Partners, we say that our love language is pushing. So here I am to celebrate you, to love you, but also to push you, to think further. Celebrate tonight, be happy about tonight, but keep that level of concern and that level of being critical about what we're seeing. Because despite the fact that a lot of people are doing great work, we're not even near where we want to be. And you can choose whatever goal you want to choose. We're very far from equity. We're very far from access, from equal power when it comes to all of the faces and all of the people that we see in this city. So I invite you to keep your passion, but to keep that critical eye and to use that youth power and that youth energy that you bring to, yes, look up to the elders and look up to the people before us, but also to criticize how things have been done. Because if that would be working, we wouldn't be where we are, and programs like this one wouldn't be investing in people like yourselves. So on that note, I want to share, similarly to Jane, and I promise that we didn't agree and we didn't know what each of us were going to say, is to keep 3 words with you after tonight. And I'm hoping that you can take them in your pocket with some of the phrases that my colleagues have shared, because I think in times like this, and as we move forward, they will come handy, not only for you all to become those smart and loving, successful women, but actually for you to actually have impact with whatever you're doing. So the first one is adapt, be flexible. I saw your projects. It seems like you have a great idea already. And what I was thinking about is like, if you work on that idea for the next 10 years, you might be the people and the organizations that the UN talks about because you helped Miami get us to that 2030 goal. But if you stick to that idea today, in 2-3 years, that might not be relevant anymore. So yes, keep your idea with you, but be ready to adapt, to be flexible, to iterate, to consider others that could add to that idea to make sure that it only grows and that it scales in a way that reaches more and more people as you move forward. On that note, my second word is learn. Always, until you're 90 plus years old. If you are always thirsty and always curious to understand who people are, where are they coming from, what have they been struggling with, if you listen and if you learn, it will make you a successful leader because you're not there to just come and share who you are and what you think, but you're actually there to work with the people and for the people. To make sure that you're coming up with implementable solutions, right? And implementable alternatives that will work on the ground. And then the third one, which I think is going to be the word of the night, is collaboration. And I'm very ignorant in terms of the program and what you've been doing so far, but I do want to emphasize in that in that word, because when I read the projects, and here I go pushing, I see they're great ideas, but some of them could be stronger if you do it together. So if you're working on goal number 5, gender equality, talk to your colleagues. How can we mix our apps, for example? How can we mix our ideas so that we can fundraise together, so that we can co-build together? So even though you're wrapping up tonight, I invite you to wrap up this space, but to open a new one with that in mind, so that you can iterate, so that you can learn, so that you can collaborate, and so that you can hopefully and surely transform not only one, but many lives of people in Miami-Dade County and hopefully in the world. So with that, I'll stop and I'll pass it back to you, Jenny.
Thank you so much, John, for those words. I loved how you mentioned, and I think it's an important message for our students, that there are organizations here in Miami that are doing the work, and that our students can connect with them to work on their current projects. And I also, I wrote it in the chat, the phrase, our love language is pushing. I love it too. I'm gonna steal that one for when I talk to my students on a daily basis. Next in our program, we have really a special moment because our alumni are back to tell us what they worked on really briefly, and also what they're up to now. And I think this is exciting for our current fellows to see, so you have an idea of like what the future awaits and what possibilities you have. So first, I'm gonna call Janelle Acevedo, who is a current student and completed the program in 2019. Janelle, you have 1 or 2 minutes to share what you worked on and what you're up to.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. I'm super excited to be here. So my project for the Millennium Fellowship was called the Period Project. And so my period project focused on reducing period poverty on college campuses, specifically our FIU community. And so the way that I did this was bringing awareness on the issue by fundraising and doing a hygiene drive for pads, tampons, and I collaborated with the Women's Center on campus in order to create hygiene kits and distribute them at an event on our college campus, as well as donate any leftover products to our Women's Center, who provides that free of charge to all FIU students. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and my main takeaway from the Millennium Fellowship is that, you know, anything is possible if you really, truly are willing to make the difference. Many times as a young individual, we think that, you know, we can't make impact. And the Millennium Fellowship really taught me that that's not true. When we're willing to put in the work, when we're willing to have a passion project, we can make the change. And that's really something that inspired me And Yenny always, was a very good mentor, and she continues to mentor me today with anything that I need. And the Millennium Fellowship really pushed me to push myself in other areas. So I'm currently pursuing an undergraduate certificate in public policy, because the more I did research on my project, the more I saw the barriers in our education system that really didn't allow women to feel supported when it came to their period. So in Miami-Dade County right now, if I would like to donate products to a school, they might not accept them. They don't have to accept them, as well as they don't have really in their sex ed education kind of talking about, what is hygiene when it comes to your period? How often do you even change your pad, your tampon, and what kind of bacterial infections can those cause? So for me, it's a passion project that I still pursue today, as well as preparing myself to work in public policy. Through now in the spring, I will be starting my CHLI Global Leaders Program internship. So I'm super excited about that I'll be working in a congressional and corporate office to advance social issues and learn more about that and what that process looks like.
Thank you, Janelle, so much for sharing with us. And I know that you have shared before with me that you're happy to be a resource for our current fellows and for fellows to come. So thank you. And you know how proud of you I am. And next we have another fellow. Her name is Michelle Flores, and Michelle is also here to tell us a little bit about her 2019 experience and what she's up to now. Michelle, are you here?
Yes, I am here. Hello,
Hi.
everybody. My name is Michelle. I was part of the 2019 Millennium Fellowship cohort. My project was called We Are the Future, because I believe that any change we make today will impact everybody in the future, our children and even the adults. So for my project, I collected school supplies for children with autism and other learning disabilities. Currently, I am a research coordinator at a nonprofit organization. The nonprofit organization is called the Children's Movement of Florida. So right now, I'm currently researching racial equity in early childhood, and we really strive towards closing the gap for minority children and making sure that they receive quality education and healthcare. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for being here tonight. I appreciate it, and I'm sure the fellows do as well. And now we're coming to the moment of the night, the moment you have all been waiting for. We're gonna spend 1 to 2 minutes spotlighting each of the fellows that were able to make it to this event. And before I do that, I know I just want to really quickly emphasize how grateful I am that that community partners that work with our office and all those centers that I mentioned earlier are here tonight, because these faculty and staff and administrators are the ones supporting the fellows as well. Our office does a lot of recruitment and support of the Millennium Fellowship, but these students also get a lot of support and opportunities from honors and CLS and Startup FIU and Trio and everyone that is here tonight celebrating them. So I wanted to take a minute to thank them for being here and for supporting our students. We couldn't do this work. And I think that's the highlight of tonight, the message, like we have to collaborate, and I'm happy that I have a support network of colleagues that collaborate with us in our office to support our students. And so now I am going to start with the sort of kind of meet and greet. So we're gonna start with the fellows. We're gonna ask them to share a little bit about their project very quickly, and also like, what are you proud of, or what does this what do you take from the fellowship? Florencia, do you want to move to the next slide? So Melanie Rodriguez is one of the campus directors for this year. Her project is Let Your Voices Echo. And Melanie, tell me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Rodriguez, like Yenny said. I was a Millennium Fellow last year in the class of 2019 in the inaugural cohort, and I applied again just because of everything I learned. I wanted to do it all over again and be able to bring this opportunity and this experience to more fellows on our campus. So this year I serve as the campus director alongside Rakaya, and it has been a very interesting challenge to do this online. So I'll start with that. I'm proudest of the work we've been able to accomplish doing it just online, and the community we've been able to build within our fellowship. Everyone has gotten along so well, is always a support for each other within the fellowship, and I couldn't be prouder of what we've been able to build online. So as for my project, Let Your Voices Echo, also known as Project Live, it addresses SDG 10, reduced inequalities, and the purpose is to combine issues of social justice, bring awareness to issues of social justice through the arts, to foster an appreciation for the arts and create community dialogues. So this, over the summer, we were able to host a series on racial inequities and addressing those issues through various film screenings remotely online as well as artivism workshops and ways to get involved in advocacy. Through this semester, we were able to host 2 workshops as well. So one in partnership with the Office of Global Learning Initiatives, which was a screening of the film Purple, talking about how to have these conversations across political divides in a way that is respectful, and having that community roundtable. And then we were also able to host an event in partnership with the Honors College Honors Vote Week, where we talked about going beyond the vote and how you can use your art and creativity to make change in your community.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you for the fantastic work you've been doing. Next, we have Florencia, if you want to move to the next slide. Raquaya at Side West, who is the other campus director for this cohort, and her project is Let's Grow Urban. Raquaya?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rakaya at Side West, and I was Melanie's co-campus director. My project for this semester was called Let's Grow Urban. It was a mixture of focusing on SDG 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities, and SDG number 2, which focuses on eradicating hunger. And the point of my project was to teach civic engagement, and especially in low-income communities through agricultural education, and to help establish urban green spaces in low-income communities. As Melanie said, it was definitely a little difficult working on things given the online nature of everything that we've had to do during the pandemic. But I am most proud of the fact that I was able to establish a website to help spread agricultural education, and I was also able to secure the site of my first of hopefully many community gardens, and we will be breaking ground in a couple of weeks. So yes, I am so excited about that. And for my experience being a campus director, this is my first, I guess, major leadership role. And alongside learning with the fellows as a first-time fellow myself, I was also able to learn how to be a better speaker and to cultivate my leadership skills. And for that, I'm very grateful to the fellowship.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And I am so excited. I was really, really excited when I learned that you secured the first site. So that's a major win. And also, I love that you're rocking your Millennium Fellowship t-shirt. Awesome. Thank you. Next, we have Prashi. Prashi is working on Own Your Crown. And Prashi, join us, please, to share what you've been up to and what you're proud of.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Prachi Lalwani, and my project is called On Your Crown. And the reason why I choose to work in the SDG number 5 because I'm a Venezuelan Indian woman, and I saw how for a really long time, even when we're living in the century 21st, we have been struggling a lot with like women finding the resources, the tools. When I traveled to India like 2 times or 3 times, I saw how women couldn't even sleep like in the same house or eat in the same table, and that inspired me to fight for my dreams. The project is described as organizations that empower inspiring women to advance their career. So every single week, a Friday at 5:30, I was bringing different like women in different fields, like policies to education, to just find their voice, a spotlight. And this project started as a like community in Miami, but I realized that I could use this as a global like project. And during my project, I realized that there were like more people abroad, like in India and Pakistan, Africa, Latin America, more than in Miami. And as a result, my project helped more than 1,200 women to find their voice, stand for what they believe. Like one of the girls, like she found an internship as a ambassador, and I'm like so proud because I always say to people that if you have something inside of you and you share that with someone, that can start a change reaction. And that is what I wanted to do, because it's like I don't have a lot to give, but if I give everything with my heart, we can start making a change. And I'm so proud for this project because it wasn't easy, but I knew, and thank you for everyone to support me and believe in me. And what I can take with me is like every time I'm afraid, I would just jump into, because I have the right people beside me. And I'm so proud to be at FIU Global Learning Honors College. And I hope so to keep helping people. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Prachi, for your words. You know, we all love you, and we're really, really proud of you. Next, we have Camila Castillo. Camila, I believe the Global Table was the initial name, and now is the Global Canvas.
Yes.
Please join us in telling us what you've been up to.
Hi. Well, I'm going to start with what I am the most proud of, and it was that I was able to realize how my project was not shaped the way I wanted to make, like I could make the most impact. So the thing that I'm the most proud of was stopping and realizing I was in the wrong path and studying and exploring even more my idea to get it like in the best shape. I realized that I didn't need it to make the most impact in this semester, but in a long term, if I can do it. So my project is the Global Canvas, and my focus is to bring social scientists and artists to make better content to spread information through social media, where the younger generations are most of the time, including myself. Like I realized that during this pandemic, the use of social media just spiked it was spiking, but it just went through the roofs. And I realized people are just looking at this content. If we were showing something different, they could be learning something from it and gaining a better global values and global citizenship view. So this is what I want to promote. I've been working on an Instagram account, doing it and talking through my friends that I know. I didn't meet to do my measurables, where to host Zooms, but I realized students were with a lot of Zooms every day. Everyone's having so much Zooms that it was not what we needed. What we need is something lighter, something that comes with more ease. So I've been talking. I am also part of the International Relations Honor Society, and there we hosted events and we bring communities together to talk on issues like Chinese intervention on Latin America, and we talk about LGBT community rights. Like I'm trying to use the resources I have like in my community, because that's the most direct people I could get to impact. So the most thing I could be ever grateful for is the experience of learning, of doing and doing and doing until you really feel comfortable in the places you are, like this moment. So thank you so much for the Global Learning like all department that helps us so much in creating connections and opportunities such like this.
Thank you, Camila. And I think you brought up a really important point that I tell all the fellows when I meet with them in the fall semester, and is that the Millennium Fellowship for many of you is a starting point, and it doesn't mean that by the end of the fellowship, when we celebrate your graduation, that your project ends there. And I think the speakers tonight emphasize that this is also the time to think about, if you stay at FIU, what can you do in the spring, what can you do in the summer, who can we connect you with so you can continue working on your project. And even if you graduate, I think Joanne mentioned that too, that you just keep that idea with you, and when there's a good opportunity to continue working on it, then you bring it back again. So thank you, Camila. Next we have Estela Rodriguez, who I don't think is with us tonight, but her project was Iniciativa 19, which fundraised to purchase food baskets for families affected by the pandemic in her native Honduras. So very proud of Estela as well. After Stella, Flor, you can move to the next slide. We have Patricia Garcia. I think Patricia is here. Her project is College Thrifts, and it's been growing and changing and evolving. And I think, Patricia, are you here to share with us?
Yeah.
Awesome. Join us.
Sure. So, hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Garcia, and I am the founder of College Thrifts. College Thrifts is a peer-to-peer marketplace for students and alumni to buy and sell their gently used college gear. Essentially, research has shown that students feel more part of their campus communities when they're able to rep their institution of higher education, whether it means wearing a sweatshirt with the letters embroidered across it. However, it's the unfortunate reality that these bookstore prices are really unaffordable. So College Thrifts is on a mission to create more inclusive college spaces through upcycling college gear, whether it's a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, or sweatpants. I guess something that I'm proud of is, as in the midst of the Millennium Fellowship, I reached my, I wouldn't say goal, I've been able to raise a little over $20,000 for my startup venture. So the goal is that in May, we'll be able to launch it on the App Store, and I'll be moving for the spring semester to Boulder to work on this full time as I wrap up my degree. I'll be graduating in spring, so I hope to continue working on this part-time, full-time after I graduate in the spring and see where it goes. It's funny to think that I almost gave up on this idea. It was the fall of 2020 semester. This was the I Change pitch competition with the program that was run by the Center for Leadership and Service, and I almost decided not to continue to pursue this, but with the help of Amanda McDowell and all the people in the Office of Global Learning, I decided that I just needed that extra push to get this to where it needed to be, and I'm excited to share with you all where it's gone to today, and I hope to share some updates in the next couple of months.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for sharing. You also know, yeah, we're so proud of each of you. Next, we have Jaden Guthrie, who I don't think is here tonight, but she was working on, her project was Green Panthers, and that was a social venture project in which college students would help the community in the cultivation of a community garden. Next, we have Amber Robinson, and Amber was supposed to make it, and she had an emergency, but Amber was working on Glotted, which is a Miami-based community project to make Spanish more accessible to Black communities through relevant lessons. And so she was actually developing relationships with community leaders and taking steps toward implementing the program in community center spaces. So really exciting project as well. Next, we have Maria Camas, and I think Maria is here to talk about the system. Maria, are you here?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hi, good to see you. Tell us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria. I'm a biology major, a natural and applied science major, and I created the system, which is a network to connect female undergraduate STEM students to female STEM leaders. So I reached out to professors, grad students, postdocs from like FIU and like even domestically. I reached out to a girl in Mississippi, and I'm basically interviewing them and hope to publish a YouTube channel and a website to basically spread this knowledge and encourage more women to pursue STEM fields. This project is very personal to me, and I really hope to accomplish so much. What I'm most proud of is the connections I've made. I've been surrounded by such incredible women. And all of these people are so hungry to create real change in the world. And I've seen them lead, from the campus directors to the individual fellows. They're all so bright. And I'm just so honored to be in a community like this. And thank you, Yenny. Thank you to Global Learning. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Maria, for sharing. And I've been watching your project very closely, and I'm excited for what's going to happen in the spring as well. Next, we have Sabrina Pecorelli. Sabrina, tell us a little bit more about educating and empowering women to evolve the world. Sabrina, are you here? Because I know Sabrina had lost connection earlier. I think she's still, no, I think she dropped again, but.
No, she's here, but her mic is not working, Yenny.
Oh, her mic is not working. Oh, sorry. Well, you can share a little bit in the chat, Sabrina, and if it functions again, we'll come back to you. But basically, for everyone here to know, the project was working on gender equality and hosting virtual events, starting donation drives and volunteering with local women's organizations in Miami to kind of work in advancing this sustainable development goal. So thank you, Sabrina, for your work. Next, we have Andrea Lovera, and I'm not sure if Andrea is here tonight, but Andrea was working on clean hands in the garden. Andrea, you here? I don't think I saw her, but Andrea was working in focusing on Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. And she was educating communities on the use of antiseptic plants to prevent diseases. So really interesting work, which actually she got to collaborate with a Millennium Fellow from Ghana. And so I was talking earlier to the speakers before we started the event, like how cool it is that our students get to also connect with fellows from around the world and do collaborative events. Next, we have Sadi Testaseca, and I think Sadi is here.
I am.
Awesome, and she can tell us about creating humanitarian leaders of tomorrow.
Hello everyone, I'm Sadie J. Testaseca, and so my Millennium Fellowship project was creating humanitarian leaders of tomorrow. In this project, I created a 4-unit curriculum about human rights for 5th grade students. The first unit followed a kind of introduction to what the concept of human rights are. The next 2 focused on 2 topics under the idea of human rights, which for this curriculum were hunger and refugees, and for the final unit, they are learning about the international protection and enforcement of human rights through a cumulative project in which they will take the role of either an NGO head or the head of a UN agency and explain how their specific organization works to help one of the 2 issues they learned about in the modern world. I am really pleased to have had the opportunity to develop a curriculum like this as a student in elementary school. I know a curriculum about human rights would have benefited me and plenty of others tremendously, and I have really been proud of the impact I've been able to see in the students. They've had to create some sort of an interactive project at the end of every unit, and seeing the work that they are able to create is just absolutely amazing and truly inspiring. I am so proud of the impact I've been able to have in my community, both from where I'm from, Tampa, Florida, and in Miami. I have been able to directly impact approximately 40 students and indirectly impact 250 people, which is, I think, one of the best things I've gotten out of the fellowship. The other thing I would say that has been amazing, besides having such a great impact on both of my communities, has been being able to create a community amongst the fellows here. It is amazing to work with like-minded people who are very committed and very diligent, and I'm so proud to have been a part of this cohort at FIU.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. We're excited to have you, and I'm glad that the group, the cohort this year, as well as last year, they feel like they have each other's back. That's really nice to be able to work with a group like that. I don't think Danielle is here, but Danielle was working on creating leaders through education. Next, we have Brianna Chavez Kelly. Brianna, are you here with us? I think I saw her.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hey, talk to us about Heard and Recognized.
So, Heard and Recognize is a project based on combating sexual violence in K through 12 institutions and also in the college level, and hopefully extending even outwards from that. It's a humongous project. But the reason why that I think it's important is what I saw within growing up in Miami-Dade, and then also talking to other people. And one of the things I noticed is there's like no resources for K through 12 students whenever a situation like this occurs among students or among student and faculty or even at home. And I realized this a year ago when I did a deep dive within my own school, and I found out that the teachers didn't know how to handle the situation. And on top of that, I found out that a Title IX counselor is supposed to come to your school every week in order to talk to students and make sure students are okay. And through that, I saw that even within my own school that I grew up in and other schools that I've been to, that there was just a fundamental lack of resources. So I created this project in order to also teach faculty and administration how to deal with problems effectively, and also how to deal with problems with other different communities, such as communities of color, and on top of that, even the disabled community as well. So within this project, I created my own website and created an online presence essentially. And also I talked to a couple of teachers and try to honestly teach faculty how to do better and be better, and also accept students for what they come through and what they're going through as well. And also try to talk to community leaders in order to make actual fundamental change that is long lasting. And one of the problems I faced was obviously it's an online community. So one of the things also that brought to my attention what was the structural differences that could happen online, although like we're having school online and also there's stuff, it's this situation also occurring online, and how would I work in order to divide that. So that's essentially my project, and so far I'm trying to work more in growing it and creating more of an online presence and talking to more community leaders in order to get this rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna, for sharing. And I'm looking forward to continue supporting for the next semester as well. I think our last few fellows are not here, but I'm a big believer in still just mentioning what they worked on. So when they watch the recording, they know that they were recognized. So Amelia Raudales worked on Confronting Our Backyard, a project that focused on addressing human trafficking. Next, Margarita Espinal worked on a project called Máscaras y Esperanza, where she actually sued and donated masks to migrant workers and immigrants in detention centers. And the masks were accompanied by handwritten notes of hope in the middle of the pandemic. Sofia Usquiano worked on the Let's Talk About It project, also addressing mental health and mental illness. And lastly, Remsley worked on Kids to Aid, which is about repackaging used headphones to address environmental sustainability concerns. So really proud of all of you. It's 7:53, we're right on time. We have a few minutes for our final sort of exercise of the night, which is we're gonna go into gallery view, and we're going to, and this is something we do also for the Global Learning Medallion students when they graduate. So whoever is graduating next semester, you'll see this as well. But it's just a really nice ways of closing off the event. We're gonna go to each one of you, and everyone's just gonna share one word, and one word only, about what this fellowship meant to you. And I think the most critical part of doing this exercise, particularly in 2020, is just a reminder of some good things happened this year in the middle of climate change and the pandemic and racial unrest and injustices that we witnessed. There was some good that you did. So I'm gonna go into gallery view, And I'm just gonna look at the squares in my screen for the fellows, and you can share one word of what this fellowship meant to you. First, I have Rakaya.
Eye-opening.
Prashi.
Inspire.
Sorry, my screen doesn't move. Wait. Melanie.
Community.
Brianna.
Love.
Sadi.
Impact.
Maria.
Empowering.
Camila.
Learning.
Did I miss anybody? No? Well, thank you so much, everyone. This is the last thing that was planned in the agenda. I am so grateful to all your mentors, faculty, supporters that came tonight and stayed throughout the night. So thankful to the speakers for sharing their words of wisdom and the support, and my colleagues from the office, and to each of you. You keep me hopeful, you keep me inspired. I am so proud. I can't wait to work with you next semester and for years to come. And as the alumni will tell, I will keep bugging you. I will find you again. I'll bring you back. And I hope that this event remains as just a reminder of the good work that you've been doing, of a reminder that good things, and you brought change, good change in 2020. And just that I can't remember who said it, but that we love you and we're here for one another. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and goodbye, and happy holidays.